So, I have a few terms that I have come to terms with. The question started with what came first? Science for simulation that holds information forever, like a simulation very similar to the computer to create all things within the realm, and a very intellectual process or level. And taking that information and seeing it in the pseudonym point of view, like a story that was lived, that was once told by the person who lived it, that later became a story of that character's story. Science from this question. Or did religion hold the place for science while science was remembering what it was? And is religion, when it's discussed inappropriately sometimes because for a lack of knowing and being scared to know, we tend to object, and instead of having a congruent conversation, we have something else that doesn't tend to grow well with the conversation, especially if they don't want to have it. If someone doesn't want to have the conversation, it's not because they're not able. It's usually because the ones that are trying to have a conversation that way don't know. And they've hurt others by not knowing and being fearful of the information they have and frustrated because I'm that information with me for telling you that you're afraid to be honest about what I just said, because it's true, and stop being as emotional so you can be tactful with these conversations too. That doesn't mean that I don't feel some degree of a wave or a push, but instead of nuking the earth, I just found a pebble, threw it in the water, and watched it do what it does. And that's the difference between my reaction here and the reaction I'm used to when people fear a conversation about science and what it brings to light. What it brings to light is there's no such thing as darkness, as long as you know. Science helps those who are still stuck in the pseudonymic way of thinking. Doesn't mean that there isn't something conclusive for you to build with, but what you're building with won't take you to new heights if the tools you are using are outdated. And all of us are unique, fiercely unique to those tools and how we use them. No one's ideas. What I'm telling you is, it's like a religion. When you have a conversation about that, let's use the tree, it's perfect. The tree goes up. That tree grew that way. It'll only ever grow that way. It's got all of its children and the positions that it needed. Those children are knowing they are part of this tree, and the process of the tree is life. And when those children are dropped off in the different areas, they have likeness to the tree it came from, but that tree decided where it was going to land. That tree decides how that tree will look in the future, and that tree has already become what it is to look like it is then. And in the future, your tree will be different from that tree as it is now, which is here. This is your tree. The reason sometimes it becomes a bit offensive is because if your energy here is offensive, you didn't help anyone. And what you've taught them is to go out and do the same thing now. Which is why you have to tone yourself into a tune that is pleasing to thine eye. so that I can hear you when we talk about our science, because it is logical. Everything here can be explained just like that. The idea again is one idea, mine, the tree. That eye tree had many eye trees, and those eye trees have more eye trees. But there's only one eye tree, and the original eye tree is not here. It's where that original eye tree was. It looks like it was then. We are of that eye tree, looking like that eye tree now, but in a different way we grew to have our own experience, with that same experience that that tree had with all of us as its children. And then that tree grows up, and it goes back into the ether, into itself, which is what happens when we're done. And then we come back out of that and do it again. And there's nothing wrong with that. That is the infinite cycle to a one conclusive cycle circuit. The perfect circle. And it has everything in it. The perfect square, the perfect triangle, the perfect octagon, the perfect hexagon, the perfect whatever. Stars, wigglies, whoops, noops and dives, dips, dots, judges, dips and dives and dirts. Whatever. Whatever that is. Yeah, that. Call it what you want. Just don't get offended when I do that, because it's funny to me. If that hurts some of you, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Now, in this conversation, if we were actually having it face to face, if I've done something that is comical to me and it hurts you, this is the part where I go, wow, me, guess what you're not going to do next time? And we're going to find a way to maybe not laugh at you so hard. Maybe you do just need the straight up. And the straight up is, I'm only giggling because it's you. I can't control you. You do have to control yourself, so that is to help you. That doesn't mean that's what I want, but if I need to do that, I may. I don't want to do that. I don't. Not today. If I did that before today, I did it unknowingly, but today, now that I know it better, I won't do that as much. Because I need you to stay in this conversation, to have this conversation. Just like this. So that we don't lose each other with anger. Anger is a miss every time. You will miss me with your anger every time. We will not get to the conclusion of the mind if we're angry about it. That destroys everything. This tree don't want none of that. Stop. The reason we get upset about the things that I'm seeing is because you're used to it and it's comfortable for you. You think it's okay to get angry. It's not. That shows a very immature person, and it takes a mature person in this state of spectrum or whatever being to be part of that, to separate from it and still talk to it too and tell you, this is what I did and this is why, and we grew with it. The way we did that is I had to do the work to tell you, this is how I did it, so that you can do it the same way and get here to see that I learned it from this side, who already did the work, but they were here at one point too, doing the same thing I'm doing for you, and so the one tree grew. And it still grows. So that is the conclusive part of something that is infinite. It doesn't have to hurt. It is life, love in every language. That's it. If language has a term for life, it's love. If love has a term for itself, it's life. If a language talks about those two things, then it doesn't need to know anything other. You're allowed to conquer death with just that. You don't need it any other way. It wouldn't exist any other way. So we're thankful for the other part of it in contrast, but that's not the part you chose. The part you're choosing knows. I don't need death and anger with my peace. It's like saying you like your coffee black, throwing in the French vanilla. No. That's not what I asked for. I said black. Pure. Beautiful. So, I also like French. Point is, if you're gonna mix anger and peace, they're gonna go together to make something different. And that's life. That's why I like French vanilla in my coffee. They go good together, that's sweet. But I also like my coffee black. It just depends on where my mind's at. See, it's the emotion that sets the tone for the day. I could sip tea, I could drink tea, I could guzzle tea, but it all depends on where I'm at. And that's an emotion. Goes back to the tray. You all got dropped where we were supposed to be. That's how you're not going to be anywhere you're not supposed to be because you're already where you are. And you're not going to tell that tree where it's supposed to be because it already did its job to drop you off where you're at. And that tree don't come down, okay? And that tree right here, right now, in a piece of the tree that's referencing that tree, telling you your piece is over there, but it's the same piece that was right there telling me this is my piece. And your piece is over there saying it wants to be my piece, but it can't be my piece because it's trying to be that piece. Well, if you want to be that piece, just remember that you are, and it said you'll find where you are. I put you over there for a reason. Thanks. And that's why I'm over here. Thanks. So, that's it. Well, it was a bit of a long one. But change of seasons, you know, we gotta feel good about the conversations, laugh a little bit, do not get angry. That's the I'm hitting myself thing I was talking about. Now go ahead. So, I love you. Have a great day. Best road, Gajdrowski. Science is liberating. I love science because it is a classification of all things, even itself. That's why you were put over there. That's why I'm over here. And that's why the tree's there now. Fiercely unique and individual. Everybody's sole purpose, sole being, and sole destination is in their own very beautiful, very capable hands. And if you're afraid they are not doing it correctly, that's because you're not doing it correctly already. And the reason we know that is because you're afraid, because if you knew, you wouldn't be afraid, which is why I said science is liberating. It explains it all. So pseudoscience is a loving term for those still having the faith, because that's what faith needs. To believe, but you need people who know to hang around for you to do that. And maybe the people that know have been hanging around the whole time and are ready for the majority to go ahead, do that. Now, I did dig a little, but that's motivation, you see. Anger is good in the spectrum. Not all the time. You don't turn it on and leave it on full, or you'll become the fool. And I pity the fool. Booker T. And Mr. T, Master Pain. Oh, great trick. Do it again. Your shit is red. Yeah. It doesn't work like that. And don't go pretending you can fly jumping off bridges thinking you don't need a parachute. You might. But that's why I said science is liberating. So we need conclusions, facts to this infinite world. And we have that now. Yes, we do. Better believe it. And that's the faith for you, because it took somebody to know, and somebody to know, and somebody that knows to help this one know better, to help that one know how I did it, because they need to, and that's because of them. So if you don't like this one, you gotta blame that one, and then you can blame yourselves for trying to be this one. But because of you, you thought you were trying to be that one too, and you couldn't tell the difference, and now there isn't one because there isn't one, and that one over there said I told you so. And that's why I'm talking to you now. Because it's this one. And that's the end of my song.